In this video, traders, we're going to look at the question, I've got 60 minutes per day to trade. What are my options? What should I do? Hey traders, a very warm welcome to you. So question in from a subscriber and viewer. Appreciate your question. Thank you very much, and also appreciate all your video ideas and feedback. Okay, so this came in and it said this. Listen, I've got 60 minutes per day to allocate to trading, plus some time at the weekends. What should I do? Now, I don't know if that's a specific 60-minute window at the same time each day, or whether that's a cumulative amount of time, or that's one block that can be allocated at some point in the day. Not sure, but let's look at some different ideas and variables of how, if you're in a similar position, you could perhaps learn to trade better or improve your trading, whatever level you're at. How can you get involved in the market if you've got that kind of time commitment available to you? Okay. So splitting up into swing trade versus day trade, that really is up to you in terms of how you want to do it. If you want to swing trade, I always think that that's a good way of starting out trading. That's a better pathway to go, just in terms of you haven't got to be in front of the screen all day long. It's kind of less stressful opportunity. But if you're really set on day trading, of course, go down that pathway as well. So let's look at them both. So from a swing trading perspective, you want to allocate time each day for these four things. Number one, scanning for the markets you want to trade. Now, I would suggest that if you're swing trading, you probably can open your sphere or your kind of galaxy or universe of stocks, of universe of markets, to include some stocks. If you're looking for specific setups that you like, and that generally is kind of how people will swing trade. On one hand, they will say, hey, you know what, I'm looking for this type of setup, so I'm going to scan this universe of stocks. Or they might say, hey, I'm going to stick with 5 or 6 stocks and just trade those, or 5 or 6 markets and just trade those. The danger of doing that is that, of course, that if you're trading something that's very quiet, you might struggle to get the opportunities there. But, you know, it's for you to choose as well. It's a kind of commercial decision for you running your trading business. So allocating time for scanning, whether that is a basket of markets like the Forex pairs or commodities, indices or whatever, or you're scanning a fresh universe of stocks for opportunities. Regardless of one or two, you're still doing some scanning. Then you've got time to place your orders. So once you've scanned, you're kind of looking at your charts, you're identifying where you want to get involved in the market. Do you want to get short? Do you want to get long? What price point? What size? Where's my risk? Where's my exit? So this is time needs to be spent, and we've only got an hour. You're going to have to be kind of pretty quick with this. By the time you've done your scanning, you've got to place your orders and make sure you're doing them accurately. But again, you've got time to do this. Put your orders in, make sure your sizes are right, double check your position sizes, and then you're done. Then you're moving on to amending orders that were from the previous day. So have orders not been filled? They need to be cancelled. Do I need to move orders up or down? Not stops, but my limits. Do I need to kind of adjust positions, come out of positions? Do I need to tweak this? This 60 minutes is hopefully in the time when the market's open, so you can actually kind of get involved in placing some orders and deleting some orders as you see fit, or adjusting some positions as well. And then the final thing is research. You know, this is not to be overlooked. This is the kind of operational perspective of scanning, placing your orders and amending your orders and doing what you need to do from an operations. But of course, the research is so important into your trading strategy, into a new trading strategy, into the market conditions, into what's affecting the market. Stuff that really doesn't relate to how you're scanning, but ultimately determines, you know, what you're scanning for, what orders you are placing, how you are positioning yourself in the market. So the viewer mentioned that they've got time at the weekend. Perhaps that is time at the weekend to allocate to research, but that's the most crucial part of it, because that's going to allow you to come up with the strategy to then implement on a day-to-day basis, however you're going to do it, whether you are going to look at universe of stocks, or whether you are just going to pick kind of 5 to 10 of the biggest markets and trade them like that. But even if you are, it's like, okay, am I mean reverting this market? Am I looking for trending? Am I looking for explosive moves? What's my position size in that? That constant kind of improvement from a market perspective and from a personal perspective, you know, needs to be done in research time. And really, if you find you don't have time for that, eliminate these and maybe do those 2 or 3 times a week, and extend your time frame to make sure you have time for that research and improvement. All right, so if we look now at the day trading perspective, that swing trading perspective, we've got 60 minutes a day. What should we do? you've got some options. If you have a fixed window at 60 minutes and you can allocate it, a great time to trade is at the UK Open, the US Open, or the DAX Open. So DAX and UK, same sort of time, 8 o'clock UK time, obviously depends where you are in the world. US Open, 2:30, depending on where you are in the world. And of course, the clocks go back and forward twice a year, and sometimes you'll get a bit of difference. But generally speaking, that's the kind of time it is. So if you have an hour, you can trade from the US Open. Maybe you can start and do a bit of research and plan how you're going to trade that Open. You really need to be there beforehand to see what the overnight session's done and maybe plan a trade. Now, what you can do is you can obviously do that. If you've got time in the morning, your 8 o'clock in the morning is your DAX in the UK, US 2:30 in the afternoon, so you can adjust it to suit, or you can trade the close. The DAX close and the UK close aren't quite as good. You know what, I'm going to take that off there. I wouldn't recommend that. Because the US session is open, there's not that kind of urgency. The US close is a little bit better, but often it's only really spicy when something's been kicking off in the middle of the day and the US market. So US close 9 o'clock, so you can trade from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Maybe look at those, excuse me, trend extensions, those kind of final little pushes with the market. And again, you can choose stocks with that. You can use FinViz to filter for stocks intraday that might set up for you in the close. That would be a kind of good place to start. Or you can kind of just go with the indices or the currency pairs. I would say indices are probably slightly better for you if you're trading with that close, but still currency pairs are active and they're still kind of, even though they don't officially close, then there's still a lot of business being done and hedging and bits and pieces that use that time, that 9 o'clock time, as kind of a benchmark to kind of back off the throttle a bit in terms of volatility. Another thing you can do is trade only on active days. So if maybe that 60 minutes can be wrapped up into perhaps taking one whole day, then you can just trade on really active days. Another way is to place orders at the open and limits or trading stop. This is not a bad way of doing it, actually. If you've only got the 60 minutes and you don't want to be actively scalping away, what you can do is kind of watch the open and watch the open for 15 minutes, half an hour, and then say, okay, what is my thesis now for the rest of the day? You know, I think we're going to go up, we're going to tag that level, we're going to come back down. It looks like it's a trend day. It's got all the attributes of a trend day, all the attributes of a range bound day. We've already tested the low and failed. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a limit at the low, and I'm going to put a thing at, you can start to frame your trade a little bit, and that for me will be quite a fun way of doing it, and I think quite a productive use of your time, because it allows you to benefit from intraday trades. Doesn't mean you have to be there all day long, but you kind of get your clues from that first half hour, that first 45 minutes type of trade, which often give the biggest clues. And you can maybe even sit out. You might even say, you know what, I'm going to sit out. Or you might say, hey, it's quite quiet, I'm going to put some orders really distant so that if we do start to get stretched, I'm going to get filled on that. So that's one way of looking at it. Or I say you can actively trade that hour, or you can kind of accumulate your time together and trade on the active day. So totally up to you, swing trading or day trading. You've got 60 minutes to trade per day plus some weekends. These are the kind of things I do, but not forgetting, guys, this research, must add that definitely at the weekends. And if you don't allocate time for it, then we take the time off from actually doing the trading to make sure you're researching, because that's going to give you improvement in your trading, get you the right setups, the right strategies, and just generally move you forward way more than anything of these will do, even if you're making good profits. All right, take care, see you in the next one, keep your risk managed. Appreciate the question. Thanks, guys. Bye bye.